Hey guys, what's up? I'm Cassie and welcome to Caffeinated Chaos with Cassie. Today, I figured we would talk a little bit about like parenting, some maybe like hot takes on parenting, tips to first-time parents, and like my philosophy of parenting kind of thing. Definitely want to remind you that I will be seeing this through the lens of being a young mom. I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old and I'm 29, so I had my first right before I turned 21, and they are both boys, so a boy mom at that. So there is that like perspective just to keep in mind. With that being said, I feel like the mom that I was 8 years ago versus the mom that I am today, we have learned a lot, okay? My parenting has definitely changed and grown over the years, so I figured we could talk like a little bit about parenting. Something about being a young mom that is like really weird as you get older, like you don't feel it in the moment necessarily, is like you are seriously like growing up with your child. My 8-year-old literally had a baby as a parent when he was a toddler. Like I was still so young and so inexperienced with life that like even being 21 when I had him, because like, you know, some people are having kids a lot younger than that even, I was such a baby, and to have a baby and be in charge of molding a life those instrumental years, and I was such a baby, just looking back on that, it's just crazy to think about. Like you really are growing up with your child, like as your child's growing up, and it's definitely a weird concept, I feel like. And with that, now I have like this guilt that I know that I don't necessarily think I should hold, but I do hold it, whereas like I feel so guilty that little Isaac doesn't have the same mom that necessarily like Jonah has, because when I had Jonah, even though it was only 4 years, I had just experienced so much life in between 21 and 25 that the mom Jonah got was just so different. It could have also been because, you know, firstborn versus secondborn, like you learn so much with your firstborn child, what works, what doesn't work for you and your family. I feel like it did have a lot to do with me just being so young with my firstborn, and with my secondborn, I just had experienced more and like developed my own opinions on parenting more, just my own opinions on life, because I feel like in your 20s, I personally think that's like when we're really gonna develop more of like our own opinions versus like the opinions that were kind of impressed upon us in depending on like your experience growing up and in your childhood. So I just feel like the mom that I was for baby Jonah versus baby Isaac are just two completely different moms. So like that, I do feel guilt about that sometimes, even though I know there's like nothing I can do about it, so I shouldn't feel guilty. And if anything, like Isaac now has me where I'm at now, and he is only 8 years old, but still it just is, you know, mom guilt. It's always there, and that definitely comes into play with my next point. Navigating being a parent was hard. When I look back on how I did some things with little Isaac, I would never do that now. For example, my parents were definitely like a eat the food that's on your plate type family, so like I was parenting being like eat the food that's on your plate. Now I'm definitely more of like the we can talk, like are you hungry, like okay, do you not like this? Like it's okay to not like this and you want to eat something else. I do not want to create any type of bad relationship with food for my children, so I am doing everything in my power to curate a healthy relationship with food for them. So with that, we have open, honest conversation about food now. But when little Isaac was a toddler and just starting out eating, that wasn't necessarily how I parented, and now I just look back on that kind of thing and I'm just like, damn. It's just crazy how much you're gonna grow. So if you are a young parent, just try your best, do your best, and like continue to like educate yourself, kind of like watch people around you, like take things from those people around you and whatnot, and like implement them into you and your family and what works for you. Even if you're not a young parent, that would work. You know, you're gonna grow so much and things are gonna change so much, and you just need to like develop your opinions on parenting on your own to make sure that you're like raising your kid the best way that like you really want to raise them, and not like just what people have impressed upon you. Honestly, until we were a little older, me and my husband are actively making these parenting decisions. Like, we're talking about it, we're deciding what we think is best, not just doing what we've seen or doing what was done to us kind of thing. Because even though we have great parents and we love our parents, we need to do what's right for our family in the situation that we're in. Like, we don't live the same lifestyle that our parents live. With all that growth, I want to like kind of give you like a little bit of like my philosophy on parenting, right? And I don't know why, I just feel like I should share this with you guys. So in the future, when you all see stories or hear things, you're gonna kind of have a little bit of a background for like why I may do things the way I do. But I believe like I'm raising my little men to be successful, self-sufficient, happy, healthy adults one day. They are little humans right now. They have their own thoughts, feelings, desires, wants, likes, dislikes, all of those things. And my goal is to get them to a point that they're going to be that happiest, healthiest, most successful version of themselves when they're an adult. So that's how I try to parent. Like, I'm actively trying to like teach them skills that is going to like help them in the long run, teach them time management, teach them just how to prioritize things in general, how to be a good friend, obviously rights from wrongs, like, but also giving them choices that are age appropriate for them. I'm a big believer in that, like, your kid should understand that there are certain things that like they can't do because of their age. Like, that just is what it is. I mean, literally until you are, 65, there's going to be things that you can't do till you're 65 or 55. Like, I can't go live in a 55 and up community. There are restrictions that come with age. So I believe in like teaching my kids, like, there are age appropriate things, but if there's something that they're capable of making the decision, like, I want them to have the choice. I want them to like eat the foods that they enjoy. In reality, when you're an adult, you're gonna have all those choices too. So I want to help them make those choices now and like help them learn how to make the best choices for them while I'm here to help them make the choices instead of them like me just telling them what to do. But I do also have the rules and the boundaries, and you have to teach them that like you need to respect rules, other people's boundaries. So there's all those things that come into play too, so they don't just get to run amok and make all the decisions on their own, but like age appropriately they're making their own decisions. And while we're doing that, while they're making these decisions, they're learning other life skills in those processes of making those decisions. But to me that makes sense, and that's like, if I was to try to summarize my philosophy on parenting, that's what it would be. And I just want to put it out there because now you're gonna have a little bit of a background for when you hear stories related to my kiddos, you're gonna get it. And also when I give parenting advice, you're gonna kind of see like what it's circling back to. That's my little like hot takes parenting, my parenting philosophy. I think that my oldest and me will always have such a special relationship because of me being on the younger side when I had him, and it just allows us to like connect in a way that maybe wouldn't be there if I was older. But I wouldn't know because that's not the experience I have there. As much as like I am happy I had my kids when I did and I love being a younger mom, there's definitely places where it's uncomfortable or like I just feel awkward because I'm like always feeling like the youngest person in the room. And sometimes that does, like, especially with my social anxiety, spark some like about being a young mom. But there are so many positives. I feel like there's also cons. Like, I do feel like I missed out on things that maybe like in my early 20s I would have liked to experience before having children and whatnot. And I think that, not that it's my experience, but I think there's definitely pros to having kids when you're older and you could be a little more settled, a little more stable, a little more like already having those opinions formed, and your kid won't have to like necessarily be growing up as you grew up too. So there's definitely pros to having kids older, and then there's probably cons to having the kids older as well. So I just feel like, no matter what hand you're dealt, like, you gotta navigate it. With that being said, I do have some tips for like first time parents or like young parents that I did want to share with you guys. These could be general for like any parents, but definitely like more so for first time parents. Everyone's going to give you advice, right? I really want you to try to remember that most people are giving you that advice from a good place and from a positive place. So try not to get offended or take it personal. Take what you can, leave what you can't. That is like my favorite thing when it comes to people giving advice, or me even giving advice, is like to encourage people to just take what works for you, leave what doesn't. What works for your family might not work for their family. What works for their family might work for your family. So just like, listen with an open mind and understand that most people are doing it from like a positive base. But with that being said, please, please, please stand strong with your rules and boundaries related to your child, your parenting, and your family, starting from the beginning. Do not let someone make you feel bad if you want your child cared for a specific way and that you're asking that of them. And if they don't do what you're asking, it is 1000% okay for you to not allow them to have that time with your child anymore. Like, do not feel bad about it. Stick to your guns because it is your child, your children, your family to raise and have things whatever way you and your family decide to do them. So do not let someone bully you into changing your mind or let them push your boundaries. Like, stand strong and know that no matter what you're choosing, as long as you're trying your best and like doing it all with like your kids' best interest at heart, that's what freaking matters, okay? Remember that every good parent has days where they either think there is no way they're going to make it to the end of the day, or there's no way they can do whatever it is that they're trying to do, or they are a piece of crap parent. Okay, every good parent has those days. If you are a good parent, you are going to question your parenting. Literally embrace all the emotions. Parenting is such a roller coaster, and I think that with all the changes that come and there's ebbs and flows, your emotions are going to ebb and flow with that. So cry if you need to. And if there is things that you can improve on, like you're like, damn, I am being a bad parent, and when you look back, you're really like, I could be doing better, just do better from that point forward. That's like a major thing. It's like, once you recognize that you're making a mistake or you feel like you're making a mistake, just do better from that moment forward. We can't change the past. We can only change the choices we're making moving forward. Every single hard phase or stage, season that you're in with your child will pass. So if you're having a diaper rash stage where they just cannot get rid of this diaper rash, they are not sleeping, like, it will pass. Eventually they are going to not have this diaper rash. Like, eventually they're going to be 10 years old, and obviously this diaper rash will hopefully not be there anymore. Like, what the heck? No matter what, it might feel like it's taking forever, or it might feel like it's never ending and you're never going to see the end of it, but you will. And it usually, when you look back on it, it really was way shorter of a time than you think. I think all of my like hardest phases with both of my kids, realistically, it would be like a stage that lasted like 3-ish months at the most, which might sound crazy, but like in the grand scheme of your 18 years plus of having your child under your roof, 3 months is really not that long for you to have a little bit of a rough patch. As those hard things pass, like, yes, there will be new hard things, new worries, new things that come up, new stages that might be a little tough, but there's usually also amazing stages, good things that are happening in between those, and at the end of the day, those new hard stages will also pass. Like, eventually you are going to get on the other side of all those hard seasons. So just keep on pushing and just know that like it will get better. Like, your kid is going to continuously be changing because they're growing up, right? Like, this is their childhood. They are literally changing so much every single year. You are going to get through this stage and you'll be okay. And the last tip I'm giving, I'm technically stealing from my husband's cousins. I believe it was his cousin Amanda that told me this, and I think she was telling me that one of her sisters gave her this idea or something like that. But I have to share this tip because ever since the day she told me this, it has hit freaking home, and I have done it, and I so appreciate her sharing it with me. And the piece of advice was to take videos or even live photos instead of just regular photos of your kids, because when the years pass and you look back, photos are amazing and they capture that moment in time, but the live photos and the videos, it captures their voices, their mannerisms, and just like their essence in a way that like you wouldn't get from a photo. And when she said that to me, I was like, oh my gosh, that is such a brilliant way to look at it. And when I think about it, when I look back at my 8-year-old's like baby photos and baby videos, like, I appreciate the photos, but it's usually the videos that are what like really just hit home and like make me emotional and make me really nostalgic for that time. I just thought that was like an amazing piece of advice that she shared with me, so I had to pass that along because it has definitely impacted me. I take the video every single time. Take the video. That is gonna finish up my little like parenting hoo-ha with you guys. I don't know, hodgepodge of parenting things. And if you made it this far in the video, I freaking love you. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to click that like and subscribe button down below. And I would love to hear if you have any like parenting tips you want to share for first-time parents or just parenting in general. Leave them in the comments, please. I would love to hear them, and I'm sure everyone else would. This is like our village. I feel like we can learn through each other. Having the internet at the palms of our hands is something that's gonna allow us to be like amazing parents, I think, okay, or can allow us to be amazing parents. Once again, if you made it this far, I freaking love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to see you next time.